Welcome back to the Cartek Roadsports Endurance Series. For this encounter we find ourselves here at Corby at the Rockingham Speedway. This track consists of fast oval sections followed by the tight twisty technical infield sections, and with a huge grid of production vehicles, different classes. The classes are decided based on power to weight ratio, and with a mandatory pit stop halfway through the race, things do get hectic. So with that, I'll hand you up to our commentary team, Andy McEwen, to take through all the action.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. Cars lining up on the grid then with Guy Colclough and Stuart Lyons in the Seat Cupra TCR car on pole position ahead of Andy Marston and Brett Evans. Most of the cars, as you'll see, are shared by two drivers. There are a few of them going it alone though. We'll get into that a little bit more as the race goes on. But on pole position then, that Seat Cupra TCR car, if you cast your minds back to the first round of the series at Brands Hatch, it was a similar car. It was the Seat Leon Euro Cup car of Jamie Sturgis that took the checkered flag. I wonder whether we're going to see a similar story here with that TCR machine on the front row. It will have a disadvantage off the line, though, you'd imagine, compared to the rear-wheel drive cars around it. Let's find out, though. 45 minutes of racing about to get underway. The lights go out now. Away we go, and it is indeed a good start made by the rear-wheel drive cars, in particular the little Vauxhall of Wayne Rothwell. Here comes Balsidou as well, but it will be Andy Marston that leads down towards turn number one. Balsidou, though, from 10th on the grid, is going to challenge for the race lead through turn number one, which he does, and more than challenge for it. He takes the race lead, so the black car of Balsidou leads the race, and I promise you, he started 10th on the grid, but because of the width of the circuit here on the oval section, at least at Rockingham, he was able to use that superior traction to carve his way through right to the front of the field. Second place for Marston, third place for Wayne Rothwell, side by side then for fourth position, and that looked like it was going to continue, I think, that battle on the way up in towards Chapman Corner. Everyone's safely through Yentwood into the next right-hander at Chapman, and let's hope, oh no, we've got drama there. That's the 101 car is one of the cars involved in that one by the looks of it. We've also got Colin Gillespie in the number 15 tangled up. Nick Grove and Carlo Turner's BMW was the 101 car, but I think they've all been able to continue without too much damage. Another side-by-side battle here coming down towards Graceland's Corner to be sorted out. That's the number 40 BMW of Jasper Sapra, just about fending off Josh Johnson in his VW Golf, but a frantic start to the race. This is the fight for second place between the early race leader, at least into the first corner, Andy Marston, and the fast starter, Wayne Rothwell, who arguably could have been in the race lead, just lacked a bit of the outright grunt of the M3 BMWs around him. He got that initial jump off the line, but then just wasn't really able to go anywhere with it as they rushed towards Dean Hairpin for the first time. On board with the Honda Civic of Robert Harrison and Jordan Fox here, which has slipped down the order slightly after being a contender for a top 5 position in the initial going. Fair few Civics in the on the grid though in this race, and the Fox and Harris machine, one that we're watching for trying to move forward. The car it's trying to get past at the moment is the little Vauxhall Corsa of James Birch and Chris Morton, and he looks to the inside, can't do it in towards Dean though. So all through the hairpin for the second time of asking. 45 minutes the duration of this race, remember, so there's plenty of time to make progress. We've also got pit stops to take into account, and pit stop success penalties as well, which will certainly shuffle the order up slightly. Wayne Rothwell in particular, running third at the moment, has a 10-second success penalty due to the fact that he has a class win from earlier on this season. You get 15 seconds added onto your pit stop time at the next race if you win your class, and then with every race that goes by you take 5 seconds off that. Unfortunately, losing a few more than 5 seconds is our pole-sitting Seat of Guy Colclough and Stuart Lyons. It's Guy who started the race, I believe, and unfortunately has not had a great start. He dropped back off the initial launch, lost more places further around the first lap, and now a spin at Chapman Curve has further delayed that car and therefore hurt their chances of fighting for a race victory or a podium. Leaders coming back through, and it's all starting to get a bit more congested at the front, isn't it? We've got these 3 BMWs, and in amongst them the diminutive Vauxhall VX220 of Wayne Rothwell, who we're on board with now, heading down towards the Brook chicane. But Balsidou, having made that great start, of course he did only qualify 10th, so he's not, in theory, as quick as the cars that are immediately behind him, so he's going to have to get his elbows out now to try and keep them at bay. Marston under pressure from Wayne Rothwell, but then you can see the BMW just gap the Vauxhall down the straight. In fact, the Vauxhall could lose another position now to another BMW that's diving up the inside, and that one's Rob Meredith in the 61 machine. So Meredith goes third place. He scored a class podium last time out. He was third in class at Croft, which means that he will have a 5-second success penalty when his pit stop comes around. He's under pressure now there from Marston, who almost clatters into the, Rothwell, excuse me, almost clatters into the back of him. Double wave yellows in the next corner, so there must be a car off somewhere. That doesn't stop Wayne Rothwell nipping around the outside of Rob Meredith. Let's hope that he got that move made before they arrived at the yellow flag zone. It's not immediately obvious what the cause of the yellow flag is. Ah, yes it is. It is the 101 car of Grove and Turner. So no, it's the Carnival one, I beg your pardon. Gary Patterson and Aaron Bowman Smith. We've also had dramas, I'm afraid, for the BMW of Callum Noble, I believe that is, that's slowed out on the pit straight in rather smoky fashion. So a few cars starting to drop by the wayside as we join back in with the lead group. And it's all changed up here again, hasn't it now? Because finally we're starting to see Andy Ebden and Paul Wells, little Caterham, working its way forward, trying to find a way past the quarter of James Birch and Chris Morton on board with the Harrison Fox Civic. The Cupra well on its way to a race victory, it would seem, on the road at least. However, is that going to be the case when the discussion has been had in the stewards' room later on? In fact, it may well be ongoing already, with Guy Colclough having returned to the pit lane fairly early on to hand over to Stuart Lyons. It may well be that discussion has already taken place, and we may well have an answer for you before the end of the race as to who is going to come out on top, whether it's going to be this car or whether it's going to serve some sort of a penalty. So it turns through Chapman Curve, looking resplendent. Good to see more and more of these TCR cars appearing in the UK. Here is a battle going on behind between Wayne Rothwell and Bal Sidhu in the BMW M3, and Bal Sidhu is about to have to get his elbows out to try and keep this very rapid VX220 at bay. Now, Bal's car is not quite as quick in a straight line as some of the other BMWs out here, so there's a chance that Rothwell can at least keep up with him in a straight line and maybe have a dive on the brakes down towards the Dean Head. He might not even wait that long though. Look at the exit speed that he gets out of the chicane, but then there's a frustrated wave of the hand as the BMW, even though it's underpowered compared to some of the other BMWs, just streaks away from him across the start-finish line. He carries more speed through turn one though, and he will be close enough, I think, to have a lunge up the inside. Bal knows that, so moves over to defend. To the outside goes Wayne Rothwell. Now, we heard John Thorne saying this is risky business, but if you can make it stick, you can make plenty of ground. Doesn't go right round the outside, he cuts back instead to the late apex. Bal Sidhu's all sideways in front of us. Rothwell to the left-hand side. Now watch for another switch back coming here out of Yentwood and in towards Chapman Curve. There are a couple of back markers in front as well, which Wayne and Bal will both be fully aware of. Bal Sidhu is well and truly defending the inside line here, as he's perfectly entitled to do, but it's so frustrating when you're in the car that's quicker through the corners but not as quick in a straight line. You need to maximise your corner speed. When the car in front of you is just standing on the brakes and holding the inside line, it's really frustrating because you just feel that the only way to get through is to drive through the car in front, and that's not really the way to do it. Check back in with Rob Meredith here, who is running in a podium position for the time being. Back up towards Yentwood, and car number 61 really looking strong here. Fighting for class honours, of course, with the Seat that's out front, and also Rob Meredith and Bal Sidhu's BMW, so they're the cars that Andy Marston and Brett Evans BMWs, excuse me. That's the car that Rob Meredith is going to be really watching out for here, as well as Bal Sidhu, who's also running in class, but he's quite a bit further down the road, over the hill, back down into Gracelands, and he has driven impeccably so far to be guaranteed a podium finish. And of course, if there is some sort of judicial procedure taken up against the Cupra, he could even gain a bit more ground back through the Tarzan hairpin. More traffic's just been dealt with. That's going to be a constant factor in a race like this. We started with nearly 30 cars out on the circuit. We still have, I believe, about 22 or 23 of them running as well, so the circuit is still fairly busy. Just in front of him we can see another one of the Toyota MR2s coming through. That's the Christian Timms and Steve Lawson car, the red car, just ahead of the Wayne Sterling Parker and Rod Weston Bartholomew Rover, which is not quite as quick as Rob Meredith's BMW, it must be said. Right, onto the final lap goes Stuart Lyons, and he just needs to navigate the Rockingham International Super Sports Car long circuit one more time, and then he will be a race winner. He and Guy Colclough for the first time this season. It's the first race that they've entered this season in the Cartek Roadsports Endurance Series. But Stuart Lyons, of course, been racing in TCR UK all season. Guy Colclough, I believe he's trying to persuade him to come and join in the fun as well. But Stuart has been racing, it would seem, somewhere every weekend this season. Turns his way back out of Gracelands, got the little Lotus that he's just found a way past, which is a car we hadn't seen yet in this race. That's Leon Bidgeway. But as the Guy Colclough owned and Stuart Lyons driven Seat Cupra TCR car turns his way out of Tarzan, it's just a few corners from home now. And what has been a splendid drive by Stuart, but perhaps still a question mark over the result. We'll wait and see what the decision is post-race, but for the time being, the car comes out of the final corner, heads up to the start-finish line and sees the checkered flag to win round number 3 of the Cartek Motorsports Electronics Roadsports Endurance Series, and in fairly comfortable fashion, it must be said. We wait for the second place cars to come across the line. Now we believe that Andy Marston and Brett Evans' BMW, yes, look at that, was caught by Rob Meredith, but not quite overtaken on the final lap. Also, as you can see there, the Colclough and Lyons car was disqualified for that contact under the yellow flag, so they do not make it through to the end of the race. Class winners, Andy Marston and Brett Evans win Class A and the overall race victory. Neil Martin wins Class B in the Honda Civic, whilst Liam Crilly's Mazda wins in Class C. Ben Abbott and Jack Mitchell win in Class D, and there you can see the fairly substantial list of retirements, most notably though the exclusion for the car that won on the road.
Liam, firstly congratulations on the class win, finishing 9th overall. That RX8 is pretty quick.
It's a great car. It's much maligned on a road car, but as a race car it works really well, except fuel consumption.
Neil, firstly congratulations on the class win. It was a tough race, especially behind the safety car.
Yeah, well, I pitted when the safety car come in, which might have been a mistake because it was out the next lap, and that's probably cost us a bit further up, but still first in class. So.
Welcome to Rockingham Speedway for the latest encounter of the Protech Shocks Sports Specialist Championship. We've got a huge grade of production kit cars, multiple classes based on power to weight ratios, and a track including a fast oval section followed by a tight twisting technical infield section. 2 races are coming up for these guys, so let's get straight into the action, and here's Andy McEwen.
Thank you, Anthony. Cars lining up on the grid, but they're not all there because poleman Martin Gambling is a non-starter. That leaves Matthew Booth on his own on row 1 ahead of Darren Berris and Rob Johnston, and John Moore and Stephen Ward. Nigel Brown, Marcus Roskill, Liam and Leighton Norris round out the top 10 on what was originally a 20-car grid, rounded out by Peter Robinson and Andy Hiley. But big drama for Martin Gambling, 2nd place in the Class A points coming into this round, qualified on pole, but will not take the start. The rest of the cars are there though. Matthew Booth has the opportunity to take off from the front row all on his own, and as the lights go out, it will be the Brands Hatch race winner who gets a decent start, but the best start appears to be Rob Johnston, the orange machine up the middle. Around the outside comes John Moore. Some of the Class B competitors getting themselves all a little bit bottled together as they go through turn 1 for the first time. And the Protech Shocks Sports Specials underway here, rocking with a 3-wire battle for the lead down towards the Dean hairpin. Booth on the inside, on the outside was, who is that? I think that is John Moore, isn't it? And coming up the middle there was Darren Berris in the blue car, and Darren Berris gets 2nd place away. He might even be able to challenge for the lead down through Yentwood. On board with Ollie Samways there in the midfield, got someone off, someone pointing the wrong way, or it's all gone wrong. That might have been John Moore again, pointing the wrong way, and that's Berris, so Berris off. So yes, I think it is Berris and Moore who have got tangled together at Yentwood for the first time. And does that therefore mean that Matthew Booth has been handed the race lead? I think he has. Down through the Piff Paff and Kirby we go for the first time. Number 44 there is Marcus Roskill, and just in front of him, going quite slowly there it would seem, is Nigel Brown, and he's going to lose potentially a position there. The car struggling through the corners, but then actually has decent straight line speed, pulls back away from the 71 of Leighton Norris. Leighton Norris, who is 2nd in the Class B Championship behind Liam. But Liam in car number 61 also involved in this battle, on board with Ben Coles now, the FRS Arrow. And then hits the race down towards Tarzan. It's all getting very congested in front of us. Look on this opening lap of the race. Slowest corner on the track, back along the school straight. Pull up alongside, trying to gain a place here on the outside line of Liam, that was down into the Butcher game. It's all very congested behind Nigel Brown. try and use the superior horsepower of his Class A machine to get away from some of the Class B cars behind him. Matthew Booth, easy to forget about the MK Indy that's out there, but it is dominating proceedings at the moment in the Sports Specials here at Rockingham, and he could be about to become the first two-time winner of the season. Won the second race at Brands Hatch, which we covered earlier on in the season. But it looks as though this one's going to be a little bit more comfortable. Across the line it goes. One more lap to go, and Matthew Booth unheaded really, because it's not an enormous field here this weekend, and because it's quite a long track at Rockingham. I don't think he's really going to have that much in the way of back markers to deal with. There is a back marker just up the road, we caught a glimpse of there coming out of the end. I don't think Matthew Booth is quite going to get there, so and if he does, the speed difference should be enough to just carry him straight through. So Matthew Booth, half a lap away now from victory in round number 5 of the Protech Shop Sports Specials Championship. And he'll be looking now to try and do the double. The second race grid is decided based upon the second fastest lap times from qualifying. So again, Matthew Booth set the second fastest time, as he did to line up second on the grid for this one. But if we don't have Martin Gambling out there, then it could be another fairly uncontested run to victory for Booth, barring any dramas, of course. Looks like it's Sylvia Much in the purple number 79 MEV, who is the car that could go a lap down, but I'm not convinced Booth is quite going to get there. I think he'll probably just throttle back and take it easy. You can see he's not a million miles away from Beres and Johnston though, but then Matthew has definitely eased the pace off slightly as the race has gone on. 1:37.08 is his fastest lap, and that will be the fastest lap of the race. And he's also going to become the first man to win 2 races in 2018. Matthew Booth wins race number 1 here at Rockingham in fairly comfortable fashion. Over 4 seconds is going to be the margin back to Darren Beres in second, and Rob Johnston comes home in third. Confirmation of that result then: Booth, Beres and Johnston, your podium finishes. Then it's Stephen Ward and John Moore, Nigel Brown and Marcus Roskill, and it was Roskill who took the Class B victory. Then it's Leighton Norris, Liam and Ollie Samways who round out the top 10. Then Martin Hayward, Martin Buckland, Bridget Smart, Alan Robinson, Alex Claridge and Sylvia Much, whilst Ben Coles and Andy Hiley were both non-finishers.
Matthew, firstly, congratulations, but you nearly lost it all on the first corner.
Yeah, it's pushing into the first corner to try and keep lead, but that Westfield pulled a lovely move around outside. But yeah, it was just tires were too cold into that second corner, and just we all went wide and managed to get it back on in second, which I was happy with. And then I saw Robbie in front. I thought, we'll go and try and break away, and then I'll try and get him. So look at that. I saw where he was slower and managed to break through, and then just got that gap. And then when it spun, I just managed to knock it off a bit and relax to bring it back home.
Race number 2 of the weekend for the Protech Shock Sports Specials Championship about to get underway, but we are again without pole sitter Martin Gambling, so it's Matthew Booth on his own on row 1 ahead of Rob Johnston and Darren Beres, then John Moore and Stephen Ward, whilst Marcus Roskill and Liam are on row 4. Nigel Brown and Leighton Norris complete the top 10 ahead of Martin Hayward and Martin Buckland, Alex Claridge and Bridget Smart, then Alan Robinson, Ben Coles, Ollie Samways, Sylvia Much and Andy Hiley and Peter Robinson round out the field. Well, race 1 was dominated by Matthew Booth. Can he do the same thing again from the front row of the grid? It was a fairly tight run through the first few corners though. Remember, Darren Beres came through from the back after a lap 1 off to finish second, so this won't be all Matthew Booth's way, I'm sure. On board with Alex Claridge as the lights go off though, and he goes backwards. Not a good start for Claridge there in the MEV, and several cars will be past him. Ollie Samways there dives up the inside in car number 12, but at the front of the field, look at that, it is Beres in front, so Beres gets the lead away from Booth. Booth will be second, and diving up the inside, look, comes John Moore into third place if he can. Rob Johnston will try and stay with him around the outside. That gives him the inside line down to Yepman. They'll from wheel to wheel into the braking zone. Beres from Booth oh, what a close call that was there for John Moore, who locked up the brakes trying to hold on to that third place and so nearly wiped out our race 1 winner Matthew Booth. There further back is Alan Robinson dicing away in Class B, but really close quarters stuff at the front of the field. And how has that shaken out the order? I think that Moore is still ahead of Johnston. Yes, he is, and not far behind them. Look, the black car of Stephen Ward, who we didn't really see in race 1, but Stephen Ward is looking pretty competitive in this one, getting away with the lead group in the early going. In towards Graceland as they go. And Rob Johnston won't be too pleased with that, but look at this for the battle for the race lead. Darren Berris and Martin Booth, Matthew Booth, excuse me. Matthew Booth goes right around the outside and takes the lead away. So Booth didn't take him that long, did it, to get back through? Now I wonder though whether Berris can come back at him. Berris with the V8 engine, Westfield, gets to the outside line, got a bit more poke in a straight line as Berris, but maybe Booth's MK Indy is a little bit quicker through the corners. Let's see as they come out onto the straight. Be interesting to ride on board with the RAF liveried car as it gets to the power down. Nice tight line, and yes, look at that, a bit more straight line speed. He'll get in the toe as well. They're reasonably evenly matched, but look at that. Berris definitely has the speed. Down towards turn 1, goes up the inside line, side by side again for the race lead, and Berris goes back through. Fantastic racing this between the two of them. Darren Berris, this is what we sort of wanted to see and hoped to see in race 1, but Berris got tangled up on the opening lap with John Moore and ended up falling to the tail end of the field, but the flame-spitting Westfield is back out in front now. Booth back down to second, then Johnston third. It's gone now, so another 2 laps for these guys. Of course, we have the 13 minutes plus that extra lap. Championship-wise, Matthew Booth, if he can take this win again in this race, I remember Darren Berris is still second. That means he's going to take a fairly substantial amount of points away from championship leader Rob Johnston. There is Matthew Booth. He goes on to his final lap of the race. And, well, I'm not counting too many chickens yet because Darren Berris is not a million miles back. He's only a second and a half or so behind as they go on to this final lap. So any mistakes for Booth and Berris will be with him. I'm not convinced that Darren is quite going to have the pace through the infield section of the lap to really launch the attack. Through Yentwood, up towards Chapman, using all the curb, not too much, otherwise you start getting told off for exceeding the track limits. Indeed, more than told off, you can be given time penalties if you do it excessively. But, no real need for Matthew to push on too hard. He's got the gap, he knows that the car is good through this part of the circuit. Doesn't look as though that MK Indy can be caught. Back on board with Darren Berris in the Westfield V8, which has shown itself to be a very fierce competitor though this weekend. And on maybe a slightly more open and high-speed circuit, a race-winning car potentially. Tight technical infield section here at Rockingham, just not suiting that car particularly well. Booth has set a lap time in this race incidentally that's half a second quicker than he did in race 1, so that shows actually that's really impressive that Berris has been able to stay with him because Booth is going as quickly as he possibly can, but I don't think that Berris is quite going to be able to do anything to stop him because out of the final corner comes Matthew Booth. He's already become the first double winner of the season. Now he becomes the first driver to win 2 races in one weekend, and it's a 3rd win of the season for Matthew Booth. Second place goes to Darren Berris, but he was only a second behind at the flag. It's quite a long wait then for Rob Johnston, but here he comes out of the final corner and he will come home to round out the podium overall and of course the podium within Class A as well. Confirmation of the result then: Booth from Berris from Johnston on the podium, then John Moore 4th, Stephen Ward 5th and Ed Fuller 6th. Then it's Marcus Roskill, Liam, Ollie Samways and Martin Hayward rounds out the top 10. Next up is Martin Buckland, Alan Robinson and Alex Claridge follow, then Bridget Smart and Sylvia Much. We lost though Ben Coles, Nigel Brown, Peter Robinson and Andy Hiley, whilst Leighton Norris and Martin Gambling were non-starters.
Just want to thank the RAF in general for their support, the RAF Central Fund, the RAF Sports Federation, who do a little bit to contribute to help running the car and amongst all the other armed forces people that come under the 750 Motor Club.
And it took us to the race. It was you're dicing all the way, but it's right fun out there.
It was excellent. I mean, I knew right from the word go. I changed how I was going to do the start, so less wheel spin, and the car once it gets onto that wave of torque, I was very surprised just to kind of drive past everyone into the first corner and just get that lead straight into the first corner, which was just brilliant, and try and hold Matt up for as long as I could.
Yeah. What can you do to keep Matt behind you? It's a tricky thing, isn't it?
I've come from a series, so the Armed Forces series, we're all very gentlemanly and stuff like that, and it's moving into a series where there's just that little bit more competitive edge, and I probably left the door open on a couple of occasions that